Good evening, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World and I'm Isnitla Inhamotlam. On the News Mongolia today, UNESCO highlighted Mongolia's effective efforts in protecting the diversity of cultural expressions. The 17th Annual Conference of Mongolists convened in Washington, D.C. The basketball tournament for Mongolians in Europe has concluded. For other news, stay tuned. The Intergovernmental Conference on the Protection and Promotion of the Diversity of Cultural Expressions was held at UNESCO headquarters in Paris from January 11th to 14th. During the conference, Mongolia presented its initiatives under the framework of the 2005 Convention, as well as projects implemented with support from the International Fund for Cultural Diversity. Mongolia joined the Convention of the Protection and Promotion of the Diversity of Cultural Expressions in 2007. Since then, it has submitted 4 periodic reports on the implementation of the Convention. The committee reviewed the latest report on Mongolia's efforts over the past 4 years and highlighted its effectiveness.
This week, after the committee, we are closing with the celebration of the different projects that somehow showcase what the Fund for the Diversity was created for, is how we can, through the Convention on Diversity of Cultural Expression, help countries to make legislation, to make policy, to require data recollection, and also to put some of the major issues that are on the creative sectors. How women can be also introduced in new markets through the entrepreneurship, through digital skills. So what is amazing is also to discover everything that in Mongolia the authorities and the Minister of Culture is doing to ensure that the new creators have all the instruments to be more visible internationally and to have more mobility to present with their arts and the creativity.
Mongolia also announced its candidacy for the World Heritage Committee for the 2025 to 2029 term and organized a promotional campaign as part of the event.
The conference primarily discussed the evaluation of member states, implementation reports on the convention, measures taken to promote the diversity of cultural expressions in a digital environment, recommendations on preferential conditions for developing countries, the implementation of the International Fund for Cultural Diversity, and the involvement of civil society organizations. Mongolia organized a special session on the impact of projects supported by the International Fund for Cultural Diversity, focusing on the promotion of cultural and creative industries. The 17th Annual Conference of Mongolists brought together around 50 scholars from the US, Canada, and Mongolia, fostering academic exchange and promoting Mongolian culture and history on an international stage. The 17th Annual Conference aimed at promoting Mongolian studies in the U.S. and showcasing Mongolia internationally was held in Washington, D.C., with participation from around 50 scholars from the U.S., Canada, and Mongolia. Presentations covered a wide range of topics including Mongolian history, language, script, culture, arts, archaeology, and contemporary Mongolia. This conference provides young scholars studying Mongolian studies in the U.S. an opportunity to present their research while also fostering collaboration between Mongolian and American researchers. It is essential to establish connections with young scholars and Mongolian researchers attending from Mongolia. This year, for the first time, 2 doctoral students from Canada, one from the University of Toronto and the other from University Laval in Quebec, participated. The successful defense of their dissertations could ignite further Mongolian studies at their universities, highlighting the growing presence of Mongolian studies not just in the US, but across North America. In addition to academic discussions, the conference also aimed to promote Mongolian cultural heritage internationally. Since 2020, the conference has collaborated with the Mongolian University of Arts and Culture, whose scholars are also prominent artists. This year, 8 presenters from the university showcased Mongolia's rich cultural traditions.
It is crucial to convey the uniqueness of Mongolian culture to the world, explaining the symbolism, meaning, and distinctiveness of Mongolian heritage to international audiences.
The conference's keynote presentation was held at the U.S. Library of Congress, raising the prestige of Mongolian studies and encouraging future scholars to explore Mongolia's heritage. Hosting the keynote presentation at the Library of Congress is significant for Mongolian studies in the U.S. The venue and platform where Mongolian studies are discussed are of utmost importance, especially as Mongolian studies in the U.S. faced challenges in recent years. The conference was co-organized by the Mongolian Cultural Center in the U.S. and the Embassy of Mongolia in the U.S. The 11th Open Basketball Tournament for Mongolians in Europe, organized by the Girige Association in France, successfully brought together teams from several countries, including France, Belgium, the Czech Republic, the United Kingdom, and Sweden. This year's event featured a new senior category and was held to celebrate the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Mongolia and France.
The Girige Association in the French Republic has a tradition of organizing an annual open basketball tournament for Mongolians living and working in Europe. The 11th edition of this tournament brought together teams and athletes from France, Belgium, the Czech Republic, the United Kingdom, and Sweden. A total of 20 teams participated, competing under the rules of the International Basketball Federation.
A notable feature of this year's tournament was the inclusion of a new age category for seniors, 45 years and older. Additionally, the tournament was held in celebration of the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Mongolia and France. The event was successfully organized.
The participation of athletes from France in this year's basketball tournament added greater competition and tested the skills of the players. The tournament was officiated by Mukhzaya, the secretary of the board of referees at the Mongolian Basketball Association and an international referee. The tournaments held among Mongolians residing in Europe take place in each country. The European Championship for seniors and the European Championship for youth are held annually in different countries. In this sense, in every European country, basketball enthusiasts and amateurs organize their local tournaments, which lead to participation in this larger event. These tournaments are then held in various countries, such as the Czech Republic, Poland, Germany, Hungary, and others. In the youth category of the basketball tournament, the Czech Republic team won, while in the 38 to 44 age category, the Girige team from France and the Darkha United team took the lead. In the men's 45 and older category, the Mongol team from France emerged victorious.
Now let's take a look at currency exchange rates provided by the Mongol Bank. Thank you for staying with us. Now we'll shift our attention to foreign news provided by our international partner news agencies. Spokesperson for the United Nations Secretary General Stefan Dujarric said Monday that the humanitarian situation in Sudan remains extremely worrying.
And just to give you a bit more of a dive in the rather depressing humanitarian situation in Sudan, which remains extremely worrying. We are especially deeply concerned about the impact of violence on civilians in and around Zamzam displacement camp in Al-Fashir, the capital of North Darfur. Following the escalation of hostilities in Zamzam over the past week, about 5,500 people were displaced and sought safety and shelter in Shamal Jabal Mara locality in central Darfur. There were also reports of others seeking to leave the area being prevented from doing so due to the intensity of the fighting and key exit routes being blocked. As you recall, Zamzam is one of the areas in Sudan where we have seen famine. This brings the total number of newly displaced people in Shamal Jabal Mara to more than 120,000, as reported by our colleagues at the International Organization for Migration. Aid agencies have provided food assistance for about 93,000 of them, and some 53,000 people have received emergency shelter and other supplies.
Zamzam is one of the areas in Sudan where famine has been seen. Following the escalation of hostilities in Zamzam over the past week, about 5,500 people were displaced and sought safety and shelter in Shamal Jabal Mara locality in central Darfur, according to the Harik. There were also reports of others seeking to leave the area being prevented from doing so due to the intensity of the fighting and key exit routes being blocked, he said.
A badly injured child is among 8 people who were hurt Monday when a Delta Airlines plane flipped upon arrival at Toronto's Pearson Airport.
The airport confirmed on X that an incident occurred with the Delta flight from Minneapolis and that all 80 passengers and crew are accounted for. One passenger is critically injured and 7 others were also hurt, paramedics said. Video from the scene shows the Mitsubishi CRJ 900 All Air upside down on the snowy tarmac as emergency workers hose it down. The plane was somewhat obscured by snow from a winter storm that hit Toronto over the weekend. Orange Air Ambulance said it was transporting one pediatric patient to Toronto's Sick Kids Hospital and 2 adults with critical injuries to other hospitals in the city. It is too early to say what caused the plane to flip, but weather may have played a factor. According to the Meteorological Service of Canada, the airport was experiencing blowing snow and winds of 32 miles per hour, gusting to 40 miles per hour. The temperature was about 16.5 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 8.6 Celsius. The Federal Aviation Administration said in a statement that the Transportation Safety Board of Canada will head up the investigation and provide any updates. It is at least the 4th major aviation mishap in North America in the past month. A commercial jetliner and an army helicopter collided near the nation's capital on January 29th, killing 67 people. A medical transportation plane crashed in Philadelphia on January 31st, killing the 6 people on board and another person on the ground, and 10 were killed in a plane crash in Alaska. Delta said in a statement it was aware of reports of Endeavour Flight 4819 operating from Minneapolis-St. Paul to Toronto Pearson International Airport as involved in an incident. Endeavour Air, based in Minneapolis, is subsidiary of Delta Airlines and the world's largest operator of CRJ 900 aircraft. The airline operates 130 regional jets on 700 daily flights to over 126 cities in the US, Canada, and the Caribbean, according to the company's website. The CRJ 900, a popular regional jet, was developed by Canadian aerospace company Bombardier. It's in the same family of aircraft as the CRJ 700, the type of plane involved in the mid-air collision near Reagan National Airport on January 29th.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Goodbye.